Well, another lawsuit filed against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs.
Sean Diddy Combs is being sued by a model accusing him of sexual assault.
P. Diddy has found himself in some serious hot water.
In that complaint, Jake, she details an incident that she alleged happened in March of 2016 at a hotel in Los Angeles.
The new allegations against Sean Diddy Combs.
Mr. Combs shared that he was responsible for the shooting in the nightclub in New York City with rapper Shine.
But could Diddy's past be coming back to haunt him?
That crime could be reopened and say this is a RICO predicate act, and then you add a couple more acts under the sex trafficking, the drugs.
He shared that artist and Mr. Combs' girlfriend at the time, Jennifer Lopez, aka J-Lo, carried the gun into the club for him and passed him the gun after he got into an altercation with another individual.
And certainly that 1999 shooting could be the cornerstone of a case like that.
Yeah, I got a question about that. But before we get there, let me ask you this. Are you sure it was Puffy?
With every fiber of my being.
Okay.
Just the same way you sure you put that last $12 in your account in your savings so Amazon don't snatch it in the middle of the night?
Absolutely.
I'm sure.
I'm sure. I make sure
We know.
Amazon don't get me.
You understand?
Yeah,
we know what that is.
Yeah.
I am certain with every fiber of my being. I keep telling people I got shot in my nose, smack dab in between my eyes. That means I was looking at you.
Was looking at the gunman. Okay.
Ballistics, trajectories, science, life, anything that's a straight line, even if it's a curve, it has to take a pattern.
Right.
Straight to my nose mean I was watching you.
Right.
I didn't get shot here.
Right.
I didn't get shot here.
Right.
I didn't get shot on my side, on my back. I was watching you.
Right.
And that's how it landed smack dab in the middle of my eyes.
Talk to me about your injuries.
Boy. The grace of God has me here, whole, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally.
Okay.
I have had to deal with swelling of the brain, seizures. I have a seizure disorder because I was shot with a 9mm hollow point bullet.
Hollow point,
aka
Cop Killer.
CopKiller.com. That shattered in my face and tore my face up.
Wow.
So I have a bullet fragment that went through. I have a traumatic brain injury now. It literally scarred my brain and caused the seizure disorder. So one up here, and I still have 9 bullet fragments in my face. One massive bullet was aspirating into my lungs, and that's why they had to go in and split me from the roof of my mouth all the way down my throat to take it out. So that it aspirated into my lungs. I still have a massive piece of bullet chunk right here in my face that they could not take out because it was leaning on my optic nerve and I would possibly lose that eye.
Yeah.
So
damn.
I have swelling of the brain, seizures. I would have convulsions that were, I'm talking wicked. I would have seizures, sometimes 20 seizures a day. There is no quality of life when you're dealing with that. My brain would swell so big. To me, I'm sure it wasn't that big, but it can bring you the essence of when Martin fought Tommy Hearns and his head was big
swollen,
and Gina was still kissing the lumps. I felt like my head was that big. I couldn't lay down.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know, I couldn't lay down. I had all types of suffering. Like I said, I tore my medial meniscus, so I was injured in that way. I mean, this thing took all of my vitality, my body. It took its toll.
How did that affect your family?
Horrifically.
Okay.
It was hard because I come from a tough mother who had to be tough because of time and situations and her experience in life.
Right.
And so, you know, by the grace of God, when they were wheeling me into surgery, not to jump ahead, but when I was, the saddest part of this, when they got me to the hospital and I was on the gurney, I'm calling to the nurse. I'm like, Miss, please, I need to call my family. Can I have the phone? So she brings me the phone. Oh, hold on, mommy. I said, where's the doctors? Because I'm terrified. I'm like, I'm going to die. Like, why are y'all being so calm?
At this point, how much time has elapsed?
Quite a bit of time.
Hours?
Damn.
Okay.
So I say or probably an hour.
Okay.
I say to...
I'm sure it felt longer than
absolutely.
It absolutely
I
was.
say to the nurse, please give me the phone. Because for me, I need to let my family know this has happened. I don't want to die without anybody knowing.
Right.
So I call my sister, whose house I went to get an outfit, my god sister Chantel. I went to get an outfit because I didn't want to go all the way home and I didn't want to wear one of my girlfriend's outfits. And she said to me when we call each other Stupid McNupid. She said to me before I left her house, Stupid McNupid. I got to the door, I said, what? She said, be safe. I was like, don't jinx me.
Right.
I had to call her back because I couldn't remember anybody else's number.
Wow.
And when I called, she didn't recognize the number, so she answered. And she was like, what you calling me? Whose number is this? Why are you calling me? Tell me about the club tomorrow. And I said, and that's the first time I cried. Once I heard my sister's voice, I was like, tell. And she kept saying, what? And I just started crying. And I could hear my brother-in-law in the background screaming, what's wrong with Eb? What happened to Eb? And I was like, call mommy. And once I said that, it was, I can feel it now. It's crazy. I thank you. I can feel it now. I said, call mommy. Tell her I got shot in my head. And my sister just started screaming uncontrollably. And my brother-in-law took the phone and he was like, Eb, what happened? What happened? And at that point, I couldn't even talk anymore. But then the nurse is standing over me and she said, you could hear in the background in the emergency room on the TV, they had just gotten to the club and were reporting it. And the nurse looks at me and say, oh, mommy, that's you, the TV talking about, you saw J-Lo? Boy, I tell you, in the midst of my suffering,
Jesus Christ.
I was
you
a
saw
Christian.
J-Lo?
I was a Christian, so help me God. I had to maintain my composure. In the midst of thinking that I was going to die, I wanted to snuff her.
Yeah.
What do you mean, did I see J-Lo?
We should go back and get her.
She really has culpability in this. J-Lo has culpability, according to Little Rod in his lawsuit filing. J-Lo brought the gun into the club and passed it to Diddy.
Wow.
She passed it to him. She has culpability. Let's make it 100% clear. The only reason she was not charged is because she had white skin privilege. Because if Pookie and Man Man was in that car and they saw a hand throw a gun out and they stopped the car and another gun was in, we know from the streets, if nobody claim it, everybody claim it.
Everybody get it, yeah.
And everybody would be charged.
Right.
She suffered from white skin privilege.
Wow.
And that is why she has not paid the price for what she did to my life. She's culpable.
Wow.
The same way I would be on Pookie's behind, I'm on your behind, J-Lo.
Wow.
Your movie ain't the worst of your problems, boo.
Jesus. Okay. So, because from what I understand, they got pulled over maybe 8 minutes after the shooting.
They flew through 20 red lights.
Wow.
Evading in the middle of Manhattan around New Year's Eve, flying up the street.
Okay.
And the cops chased them and saw a hand throw a gun out the window. And the original accounts, the cops said it looked like a female's hand.
Wow.
In all the original news clippings.
Wow. Okay.
So how she was let off is disgusting.
Yeah, because from what I understand, she was the only one that went home that night.
She started walking away. And the cops said, get over. When they searched the car, they found the gun. They said, get back over here. And they arrested them all.
Right.
But she sat in the precinct in her fit of hysteria and, oh my God, crying and all this stuff. And they felt sorry for her because they wouldn't give a daggone if Pookie was in there crying.
Wow.
Or Man Man.
Or Lakeisha.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. That's crazy. And that's really why, that's part of the reason why I invited you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew that our sisters, our Black women are probably the least defended and the most disrespected.
We are the least covered.
The least covered. So when I saw Cassie and they're making claims that Cassie's Black, Cassie's Mexican. Cassie got that apology. And I was like, because we saw video? Is it are we apologizing because of video, or are we apologizing because we're truly sorry?
Well, I think I don't believe truly sorry.
No,
it is my sincere and hear me well.
Right.
It is my sincere belief that apology was simply a narcissistic response to, oh damn, they caught me. Because he so vehemently, enough is enough.
Right.
These allegations made against me are false.
Absolutely.
It is a money grab.
Absolutely.
It is so dismissive.
I vehemently deny. Yep.
Tell someone or to demonize someone to the level of a money grab, which is a right provided by the United States Constitution. and the United States criminal system. If someone affects you physically or harms you in a way, they are subject to either legal or civil remedy. Everyone enjoys that civil. He's one of the most litigious people in the world. You know how many people he sued?
Right.
Why are you mad at me? Because I want to be made whole.
Right.
I didn't create this dichotomy of how you are made whole when someone affects you.
Right.
But yet you use it to demonize people. But my grandmother, the impeccable Vivian Amelia Mead, God rest her soul, always said, so as a man thinketh, so is he. If you think somebody on a money grab, it's because you on a money grab.
Facts. So I don't want to get too far off track because I want to get what I want, because I've seen video, I've seen interviews, I've seen content being released about this. I've seen it. It was a while ago, but I've seen it. And I'm not sure if you've ever had an opportunity to tell like your true side of what happened.
Sporadically throughout this 24 years, I have spoken. Now, I've spoken truth to power instantly.
Right.
I told the ambulance people. I told the surgeon. In fact, when the surgeon was trying to put me under, he testified in the criminal trial while we were trying to administer anesthesia to put her under. She kept screaming, "Puffy shot me." He testified in the trial. 24 years later, people saying, why you telling now? Why you ain't say nothing? That like.
So talk to me about
craziness.
Trial. Because Diddy was never charged with this.
He was charged with gun possession, bribery, and something else.
Who'd he bribe?
The Wardell Fenderson, the fill-in driver, the fill-in limo driver.
The fill-in driver.
The fill-in. That wasn't even his regular gig. The regular guy stayed off. Maybe he knew something.
Wow.
But he was the fill-in driver that night, and he bribed him to act like the gun was his, and he gave him what the news reported as a $40,000 pinky ring, as a binding payment.
Agreement, right. Okay. So talk to me. Wow. So bribery, he got charged with bribery, he got charged with gun possession because it's illegal to have
I believe something else. It's illegal in New York.
In New York to have a firearm. So, but they never charged him with the aggravated assault.
Again, hierarchy of, position. It's respectability politics. It's wealthy, notable, power, money, we're going to let you off. Because no one gives Pookie and Man those type of clearances.
They don't get that same pass.
Nobody.
So, but Shine took the hit for it, correct?
Well, I don't want to say Shine took the hit for it. Shine took the hit for shooting the gentleman who was under the lip of that.
That wasn't Scar. That wasn't Scar.
No, that was Julius Jones.
Okay.
Nobody who was aimed at got hit.
Wow.
Not that anyone should get hit.
Gotcha.
But the parties involved did not bear the weight of what was done in the club that night. Those bullets did not hit their intended target. I wasn't the only one shot. Myself, Julius Jones was shot in the shoulder by Shine, and another gentleman, his first name eludes me, but his last name was Thompson. He was grazed in the shoulder.
Did Julius make it?
He did survive.
Okay.
He did survive. And that's how I came to know that I had met him before. He had come to my salon before because he was in the room next to mine.
Wow.
And so when I found out, my mom like, the guy that got shot is next door. And I was like, get me up. I want to go see him.
Wow.
And I went and told him, I said, I'm so happy you're here. I prayed for you. I thought you were dead. He was like, no, I was just drunk.
I'm shot.
So
I'm bleeding.
That's why he was motionless.
That's crazy. That is supernatural to me. So
that's how you know it's God. When it doesn't make sense.
When it don't make sense, it's God. So we're at trial. There were attempts to discredit you. Why?
Absolutely.
Why?
Absolutely. Well, power-hungry people don't want to lose their position and their power. By all accounts, he was the biggest entertainer at the time. Outside of Michael Jackson and, but in the culture, he was hip-hop.
Right. He was.
Which is why I kept being falsely accused of trying to take down hip-hop and trying to take down a good black man and all that stuff.
He's not a good black man.
No, not at all.
Not a good black man.
I said, how are you re-victimizing me as the victim
Make it make sense.
instead of the people who wield guns illegally and shoot up clubs and shoot people in their face and shoulders and all that? Why am I the bad guy?
So, yeah, that's crazy.
I always tell people, August 1979, I took my allowance, $3.43. I walked to Straker's record store on Utica Avenue in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, and I bought the first copy of Rapper's Delight. A week before that, I took my allowance and I bought King Tim III, which was a 45, half green, half black, which was the first rap song. Let's get it right. A week later, I bought Rapper's Delight. And I got such an early copy, it didn't even have that piano kaleidoscope. I had a white jacket.
Wow.
So don't tell me I'm trying to take down hip hop. I am hip hop. In normal speech every day, I'm throwing hip hop quotables. Don't ever disrespect me.
I don't think we discredit. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a victim advocate, or I don't even want to call you a victim.
I'm
just
a survivor.
You're a survivor, right? I never looked at it like she's trying to. Now at the time in '99, I was still in high school. I was still in high school, but I didn't view it as. But I didn't know the intricate details that you're sharing with us today either. So some of this is the first I'm hearing, and it's clearing up a lot of media accounts that I heard and watched and researched. So you're a Black woman in New York. You got hair salons. You're doing music. How does this derail the brand?
Oh boy.
Because this show is about the brand. It's making a brand. How does that event derail the brand?
Well, it derails anything that I thought. You know when they say make a plan and make God laugh? Boy.
That was it.
Because you couldn't tell me that I wasn't going to be one of the top singers.
Wow.
And my hair salon was very profitable and productive. And I had opened a second salon a few blocks away from each other. I was 29 with 2 salons in the same area. I was doing my thing. Nobody could tell me that star wasn't going to continue to go into the stratosphere until that fateful day. And trust me, like Kanye said, when it get up, it all falls down.
All falls down.
Baby.
Got you.
All fell down.
So look, let's take a look at this picture. So talk to me, what's going on? You're in the hospital room. What's going on here?
I had just had surgery.
Okay.
And I was grateful to still be here.
Is this the first surgery?
This is the first.
Because you had quite a few surgeries.
A couple. And
how many,
this is
how
the
many?
first. I had 3 surgeries together.
Okay.
This was when I was hopeful, but mired in that. That's when my survivor's guilt started, because I couldn't get the sound out of my head of my son saying, "You're going to go up to the sky," and so I realized this boy was telling me
it's prophetic.
Something was coming. And I felt so guilty because I hadn't seen my children in all this time I was in the hospital. I did not know what they thought, what they were thinking. I've never been away from my children.
Right.
And so they had to be like, where's mommy?
Right.
You know, and it's probably one of my greatest regrets, that I could have been a dusty picture on a shelf, but for the grace of God. You know, you have family and they love you, but we have all heard those stories of a kid whose mother's not here and somebody's like, sit down, you know, if your mama was here, and I didn't want anybody to treat my kids like. I wanted the ability to love my kids and fulfill my duty as their mother.
Right.
And
have you, okay, so here we are 24 years later. Are there still any lingering effects?
There's lots of lingering effects. But through meditation, through manifestation, and through the will, I have a faith that is unmatched. It is truly the evidence of things unseen. Absolutely. Because when I tell you, I had so many medical issues for so many years after getting shot. I was so lethargic because of all the medication that they put you on. You had a pill for this and a pill for that and a pill for the seizures and a pill, and it all muddled into a soup of, I was not the best version of myself, far from it. I started losing my hair. It was horrific. It was horrific. And I was in the beauty industry. How do you reconcile that with the shell of a person that I turned into?
Right.
I became a total recluse. I didn't trust anybody. I didn't want to be around people. It was quite an experience. I was a shell of myself.
You were
I promise you. Okay. I literally started experiencing social anxiety disorder, which is one of my diagnoses.
Okay.
it was the uncertainty of I don't know who somebody is. And so what made it even more intense at that time was right after that, the district attorney's office of New York had to relocate me to Atlanta because they got a credible threat from confidential informants that a bag was put on my head. $150,000 was put on my head.
That's what I wanted to know.
At any given night, I could look outside my window and there would be 4 big, long, suburban, blacked out like trucks on the 4 corners. I lived in a corner property on the 4 corners, 4 black trucks. I was terrified. I did not feel safe.
What did you? Okay, so I got 2 questions. I wanted to get into with the change in life. Did family and friends start to treat you differently? Did they change upon you?
Sides were chosen instantly, and I was shocked because,
Family
like
and
I
friends
said,
chose sides.
I won't say. Well, here's where I say the family acted different. So, while my family was extremely supportive, my direct family,
Right, immediate.
my husband's sister, who did not even come to our wedding, flew from Jamaica because her name was ringing bells in Jamaica. Promise to God. When she came to my house, I said, how did you get my address? Came to my house, what happened, sister? My sister, oh God, my sister, how you doing? She was Jamaican. She wanted to take
sister
pictures.
that didn't come to the wedding.
Same one, honey.
Okay.
Take off your bandage. Let me take a picture. I was like, what?
Let me take a picture.
I swear to God. I said, get out of my house. You didn't come to celebrate your only brother's wedding.
Right, but you want to celebrate me getting shot.
And the birth of your nephews. But you had no problem flying up because, Reuben was the biggest thing on the lips of everybody in Jamaica. They said, Reuben, that sounds West Indian. And then they realized, yes, because my husband had his own identity and rep. Right. So people knew him and knew, a rerun wife, that. And she flew to New York.
Wow.
So those type of things felt disgusting.
Absolutely.
They felt predatory.
Absolutely.
And it was not a nice feeling. I felt like, who do you trust? Outside of my immediate family, I trusted no one. And that lingers till today.
Damn.
I'm hyper-focused. I trusted no one. Friends took their, they made their choices instantly because then it became this whole, well, whose side are you going to be on? And because he was so notable and popular,
they chose him.
And still connected to everything that was hot at that time, nobody wanted to be on the outs. And so I know personally, and I'm not going to call their names because I love them and we still, we were friends back then, but we're family now.
Right. And
they made the egregious decision to take that side. And wow, how life has turned.
Wow. It's so different from today's culture because today's culture is cancel culture and everybody can't wait to take down somebody. So it's so crazy that people were like, if we take down Puffy, we're not going to party. We're not going to have the music.
Well,
I don't understand.
Look at it from this perspective. It was, I would call it like the Gordon Gekko effect of hip hop.
Okay.
It was excess and, hip hop was always the voice of the culture.
Absolutely.
But at no other time in history had it evolved to this excess and grandeur and Versace shirts and money and everything's a party and we out here living. Before it was African medallions and, baggy pants and
cross colors.
We were chilling. But now this was opulence and life splendor at its finest. Right. Nobody wanted to be left out of that.
It was the golden age.
It was the golden age of hip hop. A time that will never be recreated again.
Gotcha. And your friends didn't want to go against that.
They didn't want to be left. And it's my sincere belief that they started taking payoffs, like a certain former friend. They instantly started taking payoffs because they were talking about it. They kept calling me on the phone and three-way calling other people. And everybody in Brooklyn, everybody was talking about it. Everybody knew the truth.
Knew. Wow.
But by the time she made it to the DA's office, she was like, oh, I didn't see nothing. I was tying my shoe. How many black women go out with a shoelace shoe onto a club? She didn't have no shoes.
She had no tennis shoes on. So,
but
that's ugly.
It was the gauntlet was thrown.
Her name Kim. What's she? Kim?
Kelly.
And
here's the thing.
Because my people gonna
because of the woman that I am.
Right.
I lead with grace and mercy.
Always.
For a long time, I held that. I held it to heart because there was a running joke that I was her baby father, because while she was pregnant, I was with her all the time. We were together all the time. I used to go with her to her OBGYNs, and then you were with me.
Right.
I left your house.
Right.
Like,
is it possible that she was scared?
I'm sure. Hindsight being 2020. And I had a very profound incident that happened to me 2 summers ago that made me have to rethink some things. And that's why we have to lead with grace and mercy, because how things present themselves on the landscape of your mind and your journey is not exactly what it looks like on the other side.
True.
And I found that, so throughout everything that I had been through over this 24 years, finding out that there was a bag on my head, and finding out that there was, that my life was at stake and things like that, and being afraid and having social anxiety disorder, I retrospectively, 2 years ago, I was with my mom. My mom has a, home in Martha's Vineyard, and we were going to the vineyard, and we were running around Manhattan taking care of some things, and I was sitting in the car because she didn't want a ticket, and I hear this voice. I see a bunch of people walking on the sidewalk, but I hear this voice, and I looked out and I said, "Stacy?" I heard Big Stacy's voice, and she looked at me. She was with a bunch of people, and she had on, I forget what she had on, but I remember she had on a mask, and she looked and said, Ebony, and she had so much rage in her face. And I was like, I couldn't understand, what is this?
So she was hot too.
And that's why I say you lead with grace and mercy, because you don't know how it plays in someone else's landscape. She looked at me and said, I am furious. I said, "Stacy, oh my God, I'm so happy to see you." She said, "I'm furious with you. How could you not let me know you were okay? How could you not ever call me and make sure I knew? I took you there. I took my friend to the club, and I never saw you again after you got shot. I have been ruined by this."
It's not your responsibility to.
But here's the deal. That was my homegirl. The hood thing. You
Okay.
go to get who you go with, you leave with.
Right.
And me and Stacy, we would go out together. And so she left, never seeing her friend again that was shot in the face, in the third biggest incident in hip hop culture. And for all these years, I removed myself from society.
You have to.
And for all these years, she really didn't know what happened to me. And I'm sure there was a level of onus and responsibility from her part. Not that she was responsible for me, but that's my friend. I took her there.
Right.
It never occurred to me that she was enduring this. It never occurred to me. I tried to call her. I reached out to some friends like, "Hey, you got Big Stacy's number. I need to call her." I tried to call her. She's never responded. And I will say that is one of my sincerest regrets, is that while I was so mired in my own suffering, it didn't give me the purview to understand the suffering of my people that were with me, or how it has impacted other people.
Gotcha. That's deep. That's deep. Let's switch gears just a little bit. They gave us the fingers. Sure. Retaliation. I think Sean has done so much to so many different people, and he's done it in the presence of so many other people, and these people aren't speaking up, nor are they speaking out in the name of the victims, in the name of the survivors. In your situation, was there any attempts of retaliation, any to quiet you, to silence you?
Oh, without a doubt. I've been harassed repeatedly for the past, I would say probably since November when this all came out, it probably stopped. But I wouldn't call it completely stopped. I've had one form of retaliation or another. And since 2016, I have been telling people, somebody is cyber hacking me. Somebody's cyber hacking me. And my friends were just like, "Come on, Ab. Right. He ain't think about you. That was so long ago. Get over yourself." It was really this. And I knew it to be that because when this all came out recently, a whole bunch of them have called me and was like, "Oh my God, we feel so bad. You always said this. We didn't believe you." I was like, "You didn't believe me?"
That's nuts.
I could not believe that. I was probably hurt more by the fact that they admitted that they didn't believe me. I could not understand why.
That's nuts. Who took care of your hospital bills?
Well, eventually me. Oh. Once the case settled, all that money was taken out of my,
So they did settle with you. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the settlement took care of the hospital bills, but that came out of your. Mm-hmm. So there was no, not even in that form of "I'm sorry."
No, it's bizarre. It is the number one question I've been asked for 24 years, and I find it strange.
It's strange.
Guilty people don't say sorry. People that are evading, well, here's guilty people who are evading responsibility, who are vehemently denying and swear that enough is enough, and that all of these are just money grabbing attempts, and I would not do those things. They never apologize. Now, Shine did apologize on the Combat Jack podcast years ago.
Okay.
We'll
play that clip. Okay.
And I have audio. I've been for the past few years, I've been filming a docuseries that I created.
I saw the sizzle reel for that.
Yeah,
it's pretty dope.
Directed by my friend Raheem Shabazz. Check him out. It's called SHOT. It's an acronym for Survivors Helping Others Through.
Wow.
Because a very profound thing happened. So pretty much around the time, it's ironic, the timing of these things. Around the time of the City College stampede that he was responsible for, I don't know if you know the name Clara Peller. I've had all these monumentous moments that occurred and have lived in the annals of my mind. So I was watching TV around that time, and it said, in today's news, Clara Peller, most famously known as the Where's the Beef lady, died today. And I was like, God, look how old that lady is. All the stuff she did in her life, and she's the Where's the Beef lady at that. And I said, oh, I hope that never happens to me. And I promise you, in retrospect, I looked back and said, oh, God, that's who I am now. When I die, they're going to say, the woman famously shot in the Club New York shooting involving P. Diddy Combs. I said,
that's not going to be my story.
No. So I created SHOT to reclaim my own voice and to reclaim the voices of all the people who suffered the indignity of being shot, to reclaim their power and their voices from not being a news blurb, to tell their stories, to own their voice. And whether they survived the incident or their families were left in their wake, I wanted to give them the power to reclaim the narrative of who they were and not minimize them down to a piece of lead that took them from us.
That's dope. When can we see that?
Well, now that your boy is facing accountability, I can finish the project because he's been slapping it down for the last...
he's been
slapping it down. I've met with so many different producers that wanted to... No, not a cease and desist. Producers who wanted to fund my project until they found out he was involved, and they would come back and be like, I'm not touching this. You need to leave it alone. Stay away from it. I mean, I'm talking grown men that I knew was about that life, was scary as...
Right. You can say scared as hell. You can say it.
Scary as hell.
We'll
use hell. Scary as hell. It was ridiculous.
I'm a Christian.
Slapped my project down over and over again. I'm talking filmmakers with projects that are out in the,
Wouldn't touch it.
Wouldn't touch it, and told me I need to leave it alone, and that I had been warned before and I need to let it go.
That's crazy. So the climate now, you believe is shifting, and there will be
absolutely.
We might help you with that.
Thank you. And along the I've done a lot of interviews along the journey of trying to bring this project to life, because I think it's so important. Gun violence is a scourge that is affecting every. There is no person alive that doesn't know someone who's been affected by gun violence.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, it is now, people are desensitized to it. When I got shot, it was like, you didn't find single mom businesswoman who was shot. It was more like, Pookie and Man Man robbed the liquor store. I'm sorry, Pookie and Man Man. I keep putting everything
done.
on y'all.
Y'all brands are done. Pookie and Man Man is fried.
But you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It was like they robbed the liquor store. They were in a drug deal. It was something like that. And that would be the face of someone getting shot.
Right.
Now it is children go to school and don't know that they're coming home that day.
Gotcha.
I mean, gun violence is a scourge and it needs to be addressed. I've been my hope and my sincere desire is for my project to be on Netflix.
I love it.
And to be an episodic docuseries.
I love it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, like I said, we're going to see what we can do to put some resources together to make that happen for you.
I look forward to that.
Absolutely. Last question. When the Cassie video, when she released when the court documents came out back in November, what were your thoughts?
I believed her instantly. First and foremost, people have patterns. And one thing I know about people laying themselves bare, this woman had moved on to a husband. She had 2 amazing children and was living her dream. I mean, just by virtue of thinking about what we know, the lawsuit laid out.
Everything.
The level of abuse she endured. No one revisits that without a purpose, and because it is ringing in their brain incessantly and they can't lay it down.
A lot of people want to know what was her purpose for, after all of these years, why now?
Because when you are traumatized so viciously by someone and you don't get justice, it doesn't go away. It rings in your brain. You could have arisen that moment with the hummingbirds chirping and the smiles on your kids' faces, and you're making breakfast, and bow, it pops back in. Until you make peace with it and deal with it in yourself, and you feel like you have the resolve that you're entitled to, it doesn't go away. And that is why I am as passionate 24 years later as I was then.
About it.
Because it doesn't, until I am made whole, it can't go away. My spirit has not released it. It's still resonant in my DNA.
That's crazy.
I need my deoxyribonucleic acid to be free of this.
That's
and
the
that is why I
scientific
speak.
DNA. I got it.
Without a doubt.
Got you. I love it. I love it. I love it. You're so sharp. And that's probably
Thank
why
you.
your daughter's so sharp. Like,
Thank you.
I'm sure the apple.
She's amazing.
It's still on, like, she is amazing. Like,
She really is.
I love my kids. And they're the same age.
Yep.
And I was telling them before you got here, like, her daughter's sharper than mine. Like, her kid's sharper than my
When
kid.
I tell you, I put my heart and soul, and as every parent does, but I put my heart and soul in every fiber of my being. She is the redemption of all of my unrealized dreams.
Is amazing.
I was a singer. My brand, my ability to fulfill that part of my life ceases to exist. And who knows what God has to unfold.
Right.
But in its incarnation in my 20s, when I felt like I was at my best, I won't ever be able to get that back. Time doesn't roll backwards. Well, maybe it does in the parallel universe, but in the here and now, my daughter and my granddaughter, both, God blessed them with the gift of singing. I got it from my grandmother. And I'm telling you, I get to live vicariously through their success.
That's crazy. That's
And
dope.
it is my sincere belief and prayer that the industry that they find is far different than the one that exists now. Cassie's dreams, her brand, everything was stolen.
It's done.
Stolen by a narcissist with, nefarious
With issues. Deep issues.
nefarious dirt in his heart.
So let me ask you this, because this is the question. I think when the allegations came out back in November, we read the reports, and with no substantial, there was no evidence to support her claims. We did an episode about it, and the question was, will he be able to survive? Will his brand be able to survive what's taking place? And at the time, this was maybe in March. What's this? We're in May. So this may have been March, early March. And at the time, I felt like, okay, if he stays off the radar, nothing else comes out, nothing else, he comes forward, admits to some of these things, that he had an opportunity to bounce back. I don't feel that way now. What are your thoughts? Will the Diddy brand, will the Sean Combs Bad Boy brand ever be able to bounce back?
So, first and foremost, that is a phenomenal question. And I have as everything else, I have very deep thoughts about that. So first and foremost, I believe her lawsuit did substantiate itself and did have proof. Absolutely. And the number one reason to prove that her accusations and all of the things that were alleged in the document were real, because he settled in 24 hours.
Yeah.
He settled over 12 years later with my case. And that was because he was at the height of heights and he thought he could get away with it. And we didn't have social media. He settled in 24 hours. Nothing says guilty like take this 30 million in 24 hours.
Like settlement. Yeah.
So that was enough. But I think a bigger issue is at hand on both sides of that spectrum. The question is not, did she have proof to substantiate? The question is, why in our society do we give the criminal the benefit of the doubt and the victim has to prove? We can instantly rush to judgment. Give him the benefit of the doubt. We don't know. I wasn't there. But the victim, she lying. We ain't got no proof.
This is true. And
why are women not believed? And Black women continue to not believed when they speak up.
True.
The narrative on the social media, I would say 85% have been supportive and loving and caring, and that 15% of scallywags continue to exist. They say things like they watch the video and they hear me say, the surgeon said she was screaming, Puffy shot me. And then they say, why you talking now? Why you ain't say something 24 years ago?
Right.
Because who can fight a giant?
Right.
This is not the Bible. I am not David. Although I had a sling and a stone that I flung at the giant 24 years ago, it took till now for him to be toppled. And that's why I keep speaking. But all of you people keep saying, why didn't you do something then? Because we live in a society where a lot of men or people who are also nefarious actors protect each other. The reason you couldn't see him fall is because you don't want to see yourself fall for the dirt you do under the secrecy of your front door being closed. You don't want people to know he beat his wife because you beating your wife or your baby mama. You don't want him to fall for all of his dirty deeds because you ain't reconciled yourself with your own dirty deeds. And so will his brand survive? As it exists, it doesn't need. The Bible says everything for a reason, season, or a lifetime. This was his season and it's done. In order for him to get redemption in any sort of brand and make a comeback, I believe in grace and mercy because the true judge is God. He will have a lot of work to do. The bad boy, naming yourself bad boy was telling. Naming yourself dirty money was telling. You have been telling on yourself this whole time, and yet they don't believe us. The audacity. But I digress. Dirty money, bad boy, act bad. Come on. The proof has been in the pudding the whole time. But people don't see the fluff that rises to the top because they don't want to look in the mirror and see their own dirt. I look in the mirror without a problem and I sleep very soundly because I am full of integrity, morals, and respect and character. Perhaps some of you out there need to. Now, there is a way that he can rebrand and come back, but it's going to require a lot. And it's not going to happen overnight. He needs to make restitution. He needs to show real contrition. Genuine contrition. He needs to take accountability for what he has done. You cannot purge yourself of wrongdoing until you lay it all bare. Speak loud, cry aloud, and spare not. Open your mouth and tell the truth of what you did. If there's ever been a point in time where you could speak and be forgiven, it is now. See the writing on the wall. But if you miss this time, you are forever done, finished. The redemption that takes place is you need to now speak to the landscape of people who, whether directly or indirectly, have been hurt by you. You need to work with, and not that they will receive you right now,
They're not.
but you need to fund domestic violence shelters and groups. You need to fund SHOT so that I can get the narrative out about the survivors of gun violence. If you want true forgiveness and you want true redemption, this is what it calls for. You don't get redemption sitting in your high, cushy
beach house.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And stop sacrificing your own kids.
Hey, you be doing that for years.
Okay?
Listen.
Because if tone deaf was a person, your son would be inside the dictionary. To make a diss track taunting the feds is foolhardy, poorly advised, and as a parent, you should have told him better.
Should have advised against that. I agree. Listen, we usually end the show with like a vitamin. I think you just gave it.
Well,
I think you just gave it. I think this was an awesome episode. It was a special edition.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming, having the courage to come and talk about it. And I hope that it does. We hope that we get SHOT funded.
Thank you.
We hope that we get an apology for you.
Thank you. At this point, I appreciate that. I don't know if I need the apology now.
We don't need it, but we want it. Yeah, I mean,
sure,
you apologizing to Mexicans.
Why not?
You can apologize to my sister.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like where can we find you on? Tell it. What do you have going on now? And where can we find you on social?
So I am a life insurance agent, a licensed life insurance agent, and I do this in honor of my deceased husband, Roger Rubin. My agency is called R Squared True Vision Group, in honor of him. I'm also, I have my boutique reupholstery business and I reupholster furniture. And I think I would have to say that it has been my saving grace over the years, because it was very cathartic, breaking something down to its bare bones, something that no longer has its glory days, breaking it down to the bare bones and rebuilding it and returning it to its former glory has been the story of my existence, really and truly.
I love it.
And I don't know what I would have done without it. You know, by the grace of God, I'm self-taught, and I think it just came from the pain that I held within to be able to do this. And I have tons of customers, and I'm proud of what I do, and I teach it, you know, to young people, because it is a skill. No matter where I land, I can take it with me. I can sustain and provide a beautiful living for myself with this ability. So I do that. And then, you know, I've always been told I'm quite the eloquent speaker, as I agree.
You speak well,
Thank
really
you.
well.
Thank
And,
you.
and so does your daughter. Like, it's so crazy that, like I said, she's amazing. And so I know the apple doesn't fall
I
far
thank
from
you
the
so
tree.
much.
Yeah.
And just to give my friend some credit, you know, we met because he was doing a photo shoot for my daughter, and she won that pageant. We are now going this weekend for her to relinquish her crown. So you definitely share in that success that she has.
I felt like she was my niece. Shout out to Carla.
thank
Shout
you.
out to Carla.
Shout out to Carla.
Shout out to Carla
Yes.
for making the connection. Yeah, I felt like she was my niece. I felt so connected to her, to you that night, and I think it was just
likewise.
us
It
at the
was a
studio.
vibe.
It was a vibe. We had a
Absolutely.
good time.
It was super dope.
And that was my first time meeting Carla, like
Wow.
face to face.
So see, it was, and Carla, she's a connector. She's
Yeah,
an amazing
yeah,
woman
she
that definitely, listen, throughout the entire 24 years, Carla has been there for me in high times and low times. She has been a voice of reason, calm, and all of that. And I owe a debt of gratitude. I have a couple of friends who never turned their back on me.
All right. Well, listen, that's it for us.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you.
This was dope.
This was super dope. I appreciate you.
I
Listen,
needed to get that out.
listen, this is Making the Brand.